Thank you for joining the marketing show. My name is Matthew Kilmurry, founder and CEO of apartmentgeofencing.com and hotelgeofencing.com, and I'm your host. We've got an exciting show today. We'll be discussing the evolving role of marketing within recruitment, multifamily industry. So let's dig right in. Joining us today is Moshe Crane. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Matthew. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you could join us. Let's tell the audience a little bit about Moshe. If you haven't ever connected with his content, he is the VP of Branding and Strategic Initiatives at Sage Ventures. He is also the most curious man in multifamily, which I love. Sage Ventures is a real estate investment firm based in Baltimore, Maryland. Their core business is buying existing and self-managed multifamily properties in the Mid-Atlantic. So glad to have you on board today, and a topic that has been coming up for me a lot lately with clients that we work with. So from your point of view, how do you see marketing principles transforming the recruitment process, particularly in this industry that we serve?
Let's use a sports analogy, and let's go to college sports. Whichever sport you're talking about, let's do basketball. There's the legendary programs, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky. There's a whole long list of them. They probably spend more time and money on recruiting than they do on training, and developing their team. Maybe, I don't know, that's totally made up, but it goes without saying that they spend a ton of time and money and efforts on recruiting. And when you go to college football, like whatever the sport is, there's a ton that's spent on, because their product is dependent on the talent that they recruit and who comes, and they very selective, and they have their philosophies and what's a good fit and what's not a good fit, and why should our management operations not be any different?
Well, I think that probably gets back to the fact that in multifamily, we feel like our product is the building, right? I mean, that's the $100 million building. It's super expensive. It's an asset on the that's in holding, and oh yeah, you need some people to manage it, right? It's like, maybe in that sports analogy, they don't spend a lot of time recruiting like the water boy or the people who fold the towels, and so it would require a bit of a mind shift that, like, yes, there's the building, the stadium, but you need the players on the court, and that together they create a product that you can sell.
Yeah, I mean, this applies to you. You have a product and a service that you provide, but just as important as your product and your service is the people on your team. The people to sell it, for the people to provide the service, to make sure the product works and it's great.
Yeah, it's actually, I would say, our differentiator, because you can, digital marketing and what we do we didn't like develop, we don't have the only secret sauce for it, right? Like if you're looking to hire somebody to run Google ads for you, like anybody can do that. It's the people that make the difference, the data analysts, the people who are going to take the time and build a relationship and know how to like help your business. So,
and your point about property management is there's not a huge difference between one property and the next. And the comps, whoever's in the comp set, their properties are probably going to be pretty similar. Sometimes like really similar. The difference is the experience and the people and what you put into it. And I believe that the biggest impact on a leasing decision is the leasing specialist. And if you're going away from using people, so then the bar is pretty low, and what's the competition? So one property has a better self-guided tour than the other. It comes down to people.
Yep, comes down to people. And I think hotels are realizing that too, because they've been commoditized by location and price so much. And so it's really becoming the people that make the experience. And so what strategies? And so now we know, like, the people and the experience are really important. And so what strategies have you found that have been effective in making a company stand out, with top talent in such a competitive industry?
So one of my jobs is I run the LinkedIn page for Sage, and we're very strategic with that. And I think in the last 6 years, I've done 1, maybe 2 hiring posts. I don't do now hiring, or we have this open position. I do when we have people who join us. I do promotions. I do, employee of the month. the goal for LinkedIn is it should be a window of what it's like to work there. And people will get caught up in the vanity metrics, how many likes and how much engagement and how much reach. But I think what people are forgetting is before they come to interview for a company, they're going to go look at our page and see what's there. So it doesn't matter if anybody sees it, but the fact that there's this repository of content there that shows that we're a real company, what it's like to work here, the events that we have. We do these quarterly trainings, we have company events, we are always promoting and celebrating milestones. And that becomes one of our questions, like, what makes you want to work here? And more and more people are saying, well, I see what it's like on LinkedIn, and it looks like a great place to come.
Yeah, and I'll even say that, like, when we interview people and they come to the interview prepared, having looked at our social content and seen the culture that we've built, that gives them a leg up in the interview process, because we want to know that they spent the time to look at it and that they've connected, with the content that we're putting out there.
The people who put the effort in, if they fail at it, it will backfire. Because if they start saying things to show that they did their research, but they didn't do it well, that's the worst.
That is the worst. I've gotten some funny questions before, that it didn't quite match up. You could tell they just skimmed it right before it. So how can multifamily companies leverage digital marketing to attract not only customers, but also the right employees? And are there any specific platforms or tactics that you've seen that worked?
Well, for the record, the majority of the industry are smaller companies. People with let's say 2,500 units to 8,000 units. People like to talk about the NMHC top 50. They're not the majority. They're probably less than 20% of the industry. So what they should be doing or what they are doing is very different than the rest of us. Someone who's a national, they should be doing YouTube pre-roll ads. They should be doing all sorts of stuff to show what it's like to work here. I'll tell you a quick story. I think it was 2 summers ago. I had a marketing intern. And the first day, what I did, I had the NMHC magazine and I highlighted a handful of companies. And I said, look up these companies on social, on LinkedIn, and wherever you else want. And I want you to make a deck and highlight things that you see and observe. Tell me what you like and what you don't like. And then he presented it to me. And it was like so clear. Like there were some companies, like every 5th post was like a now hiring with a stock image, right? What a better way to say, come work for us where people count, where we're just going to use a stock image, So there's a ton. And you're welcome to follow Sage Ventures and copy what we're doing, but literally we're just trying to show you a window of what it's like to work here. So we're not trying to manipulate and create things to post it. I'm just trying to capture what's going on at our company so I can show it to others. And something that happened, so we do these Employee of the Month awards and we send out an email, and it was just text. And so I would see that email and then I would do a post, and I messed it up. This was a year ago in December. They congratulated this person, and I did the post, and I mixed up people. And I guess it started getting all these text messages like, you put the wrong picture, you did the wrong name, and I had to change it 3 times, and I deleted it, and I was like, this is so silly. Like, if I don't know who this person is, or I'm making it it's anonymous to other people. So I said, let's do a company newsletter, and there should be a picture. So in the newsletter, so now we have a monthly newsletter. It has all the birthdays for the month. It has the work anniversaries for the month. There's pictures of the new hires. There's a feature of the employee of the month, or if somebody's promoted, and then there's pictures from different events or things that happen around the company. So that email goes out, and literally I'm just taking those things and using, that's not the only thing that I do, but a lot of our content is coming straight from that newsletter. So really, I did it for myself, like my own hack of putting the content out there, but now people in the company love it because there's now faces to it. And then we get together probably quarterly, and when we do, people, oh, you're the one who won this, and it creates more of a camaraderie. And so literally, I'm just showing you a window of I'm taking our company newsletter, and then I'm using this as our content. So what it's like to work here. So that's the easiest thing to do. When people do a hiring post, they should be doing a video of the property, or show instead of just saying what the name of the property and this everything's marketing. Tell a story, create an emotion. Why should somebody be interested in that? Why would anybody be interested in working for a place that just does stock images and is always hiring? That could also be a bad sign.
So we work in paid digital advertising, and I was visiting with a client recently, it was a hotel client, and we had, a year-over-year analysis of all the paid advertising that we were doing. We had all these recommendations on, specifically using geofencing and how we're going to, help their business moving forward. It was really interesting because he kind of like right in the middle of it, just like timeout. He's like, listen, he's like, he has a portfolio of extended stay hotels and said, right now I'm dying for housekeepers. He's like, I can't turn these units fast enough. We're understaffed. And so I can't book more than 80% of our available units because, of our staffing issues. He's like, I would make more money if you found me one housekeeper than if you found me like all these extra bookings. And so we started talking with him, and I know you broached the subject with years ago with the idea of using paid advertising. So in our example, it would be geofencing, other hotels, showing housekeeper ads, something similar within multifamily, but then any of the other tactics as it relates to like paid advertising for recruitment to like really get the message out there. And what do you think it would take really in our industry for people to see recruitment as a big enough deal that they're going to carve budget out, right? So that it's not my marketing budget isn't all for prospects, but it's important enough for me to carve out some to spend money in our recruitment piece.
What is it going to take? Well, I think there's always insecurities and unknowns, and people are afraid to try new things. But you don't have to look far to see the examples of how this works. We started with sports and college teams, and it works. And companies do this. You want to be a company that people want to, build a resume on. To say I worked at, this company. You see people on LinkedIn like ex Uber, ex Google, or ex this. Like, what would be a better compliment than someone saying like they used to work at Sage or Bazzuto, or whatever the company is? People won't stay there forever, but having that reputation that this is like, if I work here, this is going to open a lot of doors for me. I can't think of a better investment. So I think a lot of people are insecure. So let's go back to the sports. Duke knows they have a top tier program, and they're going to help players excel, and they're going to be a winning team and give them a great chance of, going to pro. So how many management companies are really confident that they have the farm system and the systems and the training and development that they could take somebody with the right personality and skill sets and turn them into an excellent property manager, or excellent leasing consultant, or assistant manager, whatever the business, or regional manager? I don't know how many are so confident in that. And it actually surprises me with some of these really bigger companies of how many of their employees come from just like a staffing agency, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just seems like it's a utility or just like a necessity versus being strategic about it. And it boggles my mind, like the fact that they don't build a whole recruiting division about it. Like I think it's a huge space in our industry, and people are not maximizing on it.
Yeah, and I think what would make it move further faster is we started putting some numbers behind it, right? Like it was eye-opening for me when he talked about actual like occupancy and housekeepers in turn, right? So he could put like monetary figures to what it would do positively to the ROI of the business by having better housekeeping staff and more applications. And if we were to, in this industry, start thinking of it that way in terms of the experience, the resident experience, an elevated experience because of the team I put together and the training that I've done leads to this, certain positive metric. And as soon as we can put a metric to it, then I think people will be more comfortable, asset managers, ownership groups, putting money towards that. I don't have the answers today, but I think that's going to be really important in the future. And so
Well, it's
moving
funny
into
with marketing, there's some things that, like, it's great if there's things you can measure and there's things you can't measure, but they just make sense. Like, I can't prove to you leasing is going to be improved if the maintenance team looks nice and has a clean uniform, but it just makes sense.
It's true. It's got to be both, right? Because you want them to look clean, look nice, but also do a really good job and get a high score on like getting things done, right? And so in marketing there's this continuum of like, okay, we make assumptions based on gut feeling and logic, and then there are some other things that we can attach to it. And if my scores for maintenance are going down, and part of that might be that is their demeanor when they're doing the job, you know? Um, Last question, what role does employer branding play in the recruiting strategy? And how do you make that brand authentic and appealing to potential hires?
I think this is a big challenge. And so you have very large management companies and they're very fragmented. They have regions and some regions are different than other regions. And, they want to create this brand and be the same everywhere. But the people who work there or the people who don't work there know that it's not necessarily consistent. So it's really challenging. But again, like to be authentic is easy if you're not trying to make things up. So, again, please go follow Sage Ventures, see what we're doing. You could try to copy it. We're a real company with real people, and we have real things that happen. We have real resident events, we have real milestones, we have real promotions, real new hires, and we're just showing you that. So we're not trying to put on some show. We're not applying to these top employer things to say, oh, we're a top employer, we're the best at this. We're just showing you what it's like to work here. And so it lands and it sticks, and people are attracted to that because this is what's really happening. We're not putting on a show. If you're not authentic and if you're putting on a show.
Yeah, and I think that's even becoming more important because
I wasn't saying you personally. I was saying as a general.
yeah, well, and I get it. We've all looked at Amazon products with a million reviews, and half of them are fake. Same thing with the comments on social media or even reviews now, resident reviews. A lot of them seem fake stuff in Google. It's like, what do I actually believe here? And we're all training our eyes for like authenticity, and we know it and we see it quickly. And so if a company's brand is rooted in like, a strong mission statement, core values, and they stick to that and it's authentically coming out in interactions with each other and in social media, I would agree that that's the best way to like make a brand come to life is being authentic, even in the ways where it might be maybe not seen as you know like totally buttoned up, right? Like I think that's what hold people's back from a marketing perspective is, oh, we had this event, we did this one thing, we don't have like professional photos, or we want to like gussy it up a little bit. It's like no, like just it is what it is. Like let's just show who we are here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lady on our team that made fun of me because did not have an iPhone and I had an Android, and she's like, "Your pictures are horrible." And I mean, but literally, I don't have a camera. I'm using my phone. But I did upgrade to an iPhone, so she was okay with that. But yeah, people should really just be focused on showing what it's like to work at their company.
Yeah, because that's what you want, prospective employee. Well, thank you so much,
And
Moshe.
the more you do this, there's like this camaraderie that's happening with our team on LinkedIn, right? So they're cheering each other on, they're celebrating, and that just putting fuel on the fire.
Well, it gives them permission to be a little bit more casual and authentic themselves. Yeah. Well, thank you for being a guest today, and thank you to everyone here on LinkedIn for joining us today. I hope you'll join us again. Until then, love the journey, my friends.